Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Introduce my name is Sandi Maheswara from the English Education Study Program. Here I will present my essay material entitled Report Speech and Question Tag. Okay, next slide 1. Reported speech. Reported speech definition. Reported speech is often also called indirect speech in English. Learn useful grammar rules in relation to reported speech with example sentences and ASL printable worksheets. When we use report speech, we are usually talking about the past, and because obviously the person who spoke originally spoke in the past. Okay, next slide. There are three kinds of reported speech, namely number 1 statements, number 2 comments and requests, number 3 question. Okay, number 1 statement. The meaning of statement is a statement. Report and announcement are often interpreted as giving a personal statement in expressing opinions to someone. For sentences in the form of statement, they are usually marked with the verb tell or told or say or said. In addition, other verbs can also be used, such as admit, suggest, advise, etc. As for changing into reported speech, that is usually used as a liaison. Next slide. It is used to change direct statement into indirect statement. There are some changes conducted in the indirect speech, such as tenses, pronoun, adverb of time, and adverb of place. Pattern. Introductory clause. Indirect speech plus that plus main clause or direct speech. Next slide. There are three examples, namely number 1 direct speech or indirect speech, number 2 I like ice milk, or she said that she liked ice milk. Number 3 I'm living in England, or she said that she was living in England. Okay, next, there are some notes that you need to remember, namely number 1, do not change the tenses if the introductory clause is in simple present or say or says. Number 2, but if the introductory clause is in the past tense, said or told, though we change the tenses in the report speech. Okay, next slide. And material comments and requests. Reporter speech, comment and requests are furnished using two clauses in positive sentences and not plus two clause in negative sentences. Commonly usually uses the reporting verb told. Request usually uses the reporting verb asked. Comments and requests have two patterns, which are plus and minus. Pattern plus introductory clause plus two clause. Pattern minus introductory clause plus not plus two clause. An example of the difference between direct speech and indirect speech is Number 1, direct speech. Direct speech, 3 example. Number 1, he said please turn off the light when you leave. Number 2, the Saigon said do not enter. Number 3, could you please be quiet, she said. And indirect speech example. Number 1, he told me to turn off the light when I left. Number 2, the Saigon told Yusno to enter. Number 3, she asked me to be quiet. The next question. We usually introduce reported question with the verb ask. Number 1, he asked me if or whether, yes or no question. Number 2, he asked me why or when or what or how. Question word question. As with reported statement, we may need to change pronouns and this or backseat as well as time and place in reported question. But we also need to change the word order. After we report a question, it is no longer a question, and in writing there is no question mark. The word order is like that of a normal statement: subject, verb, or object. Okay, next slide. There are two kind of reported question. Number 1, yes or no. Number 2, informative. Okay, next slide. Number 1, yes or no. Pattern for report speech yes or no question. We use reporting asked. Number 1, for report speech yes or no question, we use conjunction if or whether as the conjunction. And number 2, for report speech yes or no question must be in the form of affirmative sentences. Number 3, some change are also conducted in report question, such as tenses, adverb, and pronoun. Okay, next slide. Yes or no has two patterns, namely pattern introductory clause plus if or whether plus main clause. Direct or indirect. Direct, she said, do you want milk? Indirect, she asked me if I want milk. Okay, next slide. Number 2, informative. For informative report speech informative question, we use reporting a verb asked. Number 1, for report speech informative question, we use the question itself as the conjunction. Number 2, for report speech informative question must be in the form of affirmative sentences. Number 3, some change are also conducted in report question, such as tenses, adverb, and pronoun. Okay, affirmative has two patterns, namely direct and indirect. Pattern affirmative introductory clause plus WH plus question plus main clause. Direct, she said, where are you going? Indirect, she asked me where I was going. Okay, next slide. In the tenses of reported speech material, there are several tenses, namely tenses yang pertama. Tenses is number 1, simple present, present continuous, present perfect, simple future. And next, simple past, past continuous, past perfect, past future. Okay, next slide. Question tag. A question tag is a short at the end of a statement question. Tags are used when asking for agreement or confirmation. Short question added to the end of a statement, or it turns a statement into a question. Okay, next slide. Negative question tag. Number 1, you don't love math, do you? You love math, don't you? Number 2, Ahmad didn't come late, did he? Ahmad come late, didn't he? Number 3, the man isn't lazy, is he? The man is lazy, isn't he? Okay, thank you for attention. I'm sorry there are many lack of words because perfection belongs to Allah alone. Bye bye. Fuck her